Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is Cinesmack! And the winner is...
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 76 of the podcast about films by filmmakers. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, writer, actor, and producer, Tosh Dillinger.
Oh, my big giant blue head.
Second, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Gabriel Rowald.
I can't follow that up by any means.
Tosh always gets you, Gabe. He always gets you. I need to start separating you guys.
I hope a lot of children aren't listening because of the films we picked, because it's not going to be appropriate for children.
It is not going to be child appropriate. Third, writer, actor, and director, Kyle Fine.
I can't wait for Paul Rudd and David Koechner to have dueling Anchorman-themed animated films come out in 2019.
All right. Fourth, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Tom Haggis.
Hello.
Hold on.
Hi.
High energy.
I'm feeling mellow. I'm off the caffeine for a little while. So.
Oh, are you?
Yep.
Wow. Should have done it a while back. After you ranted about a few films that we've done.
Yeah, it was listener feedback that made me give it up for a little while. So
yeah,
namely from my mother.
I see.
Oh, your mom.
I see.
I was going to say maybe your wife.
No, she doesn't care. She likes me on caffeine. Shit gets done.
Tommy, I'm worried about you. You're going to have a heart attack on that little radio show that you do. I think you need to stop the caffeine.
It's a podcast,
radio.
Mom. It's a podcast.
Radio, Mom.
All right, let's poke the monkey, find out what we're doing.
Take it from here. Tonight, two animated anti-heroes accost one another to find out who is the most malicious and nefarious evildoer with a soft side. In the first quarter, from 2010, written by Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simons, directed by Tom McGrath, starring Will Ferrell, Jonah Hill, and Brad Pitt. Megamind! In the second quarter, from 2010, written by Cinco Paul and Ken Dario, directed by Pierre Coffin and Chris Renard, starring Steve Carell, Jason Segel, and Russell Brand. Despicable Me!
Okie dokie, we have, oh boy, it's the Volcano versus Dante's Peak and Armageddon versus Deep Impact animated throwdown this month. Let's move on to our first round, which is writing.
Okay, so first I want to apologize. My pop filter is it's a little limp. It won't stay up.
Oh, they have pills.
So I'm
for
going
that.
to attempt this response without using the letter that falls between Q and R.
Tommy, I'm
Yeah.
really worried.
Yes.
Ever since you stopped the caffeine, I heard your pop filter's a little flaccid.
I'm taking something for it, Mom. Thanks though for checking on that. How's Dad?
Oh, he's good, dear. He's good.
Son, don't talk to your mother that way.
I don't think he's ever called me son. Anyway, so the writing, obviously, these are two stories that are very similar and overly similar. We were talking a little bit before the show started that they both, are obviously the one reason we chose it because they are so similar. And we have the two supervillains and their minions and their struggle to define what is good and what is evil, and there's some philosophical play in there about the nature of good and evil, and I think it's they don't answer any really heady questions. They just set up some really funny situations. Mm-hmm. I feel like Despicable Me really seems like on paper the lesser movie because it really comes across as a series of funny things that happen to Gru, whereas I feel like Megamind has a little bit more of a complex story and actually things connect and actually they move towards a resolution. And I don't feel like Despicable Me really does the usual plot driven stuff. I'd love to figure out why back in 2010 people gravitated more to Despicable Me, because I think in the public's eye we know which of these movies came out on top, because one of these movies has rides at Universal and 2 sequels and possibly a 4th, I imagine, and kids nobody dresses up like Megamind for Halloween, but there's minions all over my yard. But it's July, so I'm not really sure why they're out there. But so with that being said, I feel like in my opinion, as far as the story is concerned, I feel Megamind is a much stronger story and a more traditional story. And I would have expected Megamind to come out on top. The voice talent is a little bit higher caliber as well. And I don't know. That's the acting, but we'll get to that. So what did you guys think about story?
I totally agree with pretty much everything you just said there, Tom. And I know this isn't agree a smack, but... I think you're absolutely right. It has Megamind has a much stronger story and much more interesting and nuanced story, and not just a series of quirky set pieces. I think I did a little research on these movies because we did talk about how similar they are, and it seems like Despicable Me was the one that came out earlier. So I'm wondering if because it came out a couple months before Megamind, it just filled that niche, and then Megamind was kind of an afterthought. And so people had already seen this movie about a villain going good and thought, oh, I won't give this one a try. I've already seen this, and I love those cute little Twinkies with their glasses on. And, oh, God, I hate Minions so much. We'll get into that later, but they just infuriate me. But like you said, the acting quality is much higher. The writing, I think, is much higher. I actually like the animation more in Megamind. So I think overall it's a better crafted, more feels like a more complete film than just the kind of series of incidents that take place in Despicable Me. And he has a more compelling antagonist, whereas in Despicable Me, he's really fighting against another villain who is maybe one of the most annoying characters I've seen in a very long time. Oh my God. I mean, I get that, maybe to a younger audience, that's sort of funny or annoying, but as a grown man with taste and culture, I find him repulsive.
A grown man with taste and culture. Who are you watching this with? Because that description wasn't you.
My Uncle Stanley.
Wow.
Wow. Hey,
there's a smack.
Oh, you agreed with me, and I'm sorry, I'm like smacking you. So
Smack.
My Uncle Stanley's in town from Cheshire, okay, and he is a former Green Beret and a man of high taste, and he wanted to watch these movies with me.
Oh, okay.
And he called them utter rubbish. So there you know he's British.
Wow.
Yeah, Tom's bringing the smack.
So that's what I get for agreeing with you. I'm done agreeing with you.
So I'm gonna approach it from my kids' standpoint. They like Despicable Me over Megamind. And then I don't know why that is. Is it the Minion factor? It could be. I'm not sure. It could be. But I personally enjoy Megamind writing way better than Despicable Me. And Tom, you hit it right on the head. Despicable Me is just a bunch of gags that are funny. I mean, don't get me wrong. But story-wise, structure-wise, Megamind way better in my opinion as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed them both. I had seen Despicable Me before, and I had seen good parts of Megamind, but I'd never seen Megamind all the way through, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I felt like with Despicable Me, for some reason, I felt like there was a little bit stronger emotional response to Despicable Me. Especially in response to his relationship to the girls. Whereas I didn't feel that same kind of emotional response. I was a little bit upset when Minion in Megamind died, because I liked him. And then, of course, that didn't last for very long. Spoiler alert.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know, but I really felt like the writing, especially for the opening sequence of Megamind, really worked well. It was a very fast paced, very terse introduction to this character and his plight, and I liked how it was juxtaposed. What he was saying was juxtaposed with the images we were seeing, and they didn't always match up. And I found this like, oh man, you gotta really pay attention here, because he's saying one thing and something else is happening, and it's happening very fast. Mm-hmm. So if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss something. And I felt like that portion of it, especially right at the beginning, that they just pulled you right into it and started storytelling right away, and kind of gave you the tone and introduced you to the characters very quickly. And I enjoyed that very much with Megamind. Despicable Me, the opening was fun, but I was kind of thinking like, what's happening here at first, and then they resolved that. It worked, but at first I was like, why are we seeing these people? Why do we care about this? This fat little kid falling off the thing. Why do we care about that? I don't know, but they resolved that pretty quickly, and got us right into the story.
I thought
sorry.
Well, I was
very.
After you, my good sir.
Okay, fine. I'll talk now. Okay. No.
I thought the intro to Despicable Me was so cliched. Big, dumb, stupid American wrecks some beautiful foreign country thing. I was like, oh, and as a big, dumb, fat, stupid American, I take offense at that. So that just
my God,
made me angry to watch them portray my reality on TV. But I just felt like maybe Megamind was written maybe more with that idea that it would also be enjoyable by adults. Mm-hmm. And Despicable Me felt very much aimed at kids. And maybe that's why I didn't connect with it as much. And also because I hate the Minions. And I'll bring that up in every category I can tonight. But I felt Megamind, had more jokes and more things in there maybe for the adults. And maybe that's why we enjoy it more, but kids don't enjoy it as much.
That's a really good point, because Despicable Me with the pyramid scene stuff, they're like, hey, we're going to rely a little bit on some stereotypes and prejudices you guys all came to the theater today with, whereas Megamind has gone, you guys have been watching 30 years of superhero movies, and you know how villains interact, and you've been inside a villain's lair, and we're going to kind of turn this whole thing on its head. And I think that opening scene really kind of prepares you about which way it's going to go. And I loved Megamind. I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times, and every time I sit down and watch it, I'm 10 minutes in, and I'm always like, yes, this is the right movie I made, right choice to watch tonight. So unless I'm horny, then it's I want to watch porn. But after about
there we go.
After about 10 minutes, then I'm back to Megamind.
Well, what
10
about,
minutes.
What about
Mr.
your
Marathon?
What about your lip pop filter?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not. It happens, man. I'm 40. What are you gonna do? So There you go. So anyway, I was trying to be funny, and now I'm embarrassed. Let's talk about acting.
Well, hey, hold on. You guys have anything else you want to add to writing?
I hate the Minions.
All right.
Wow.
Oh, you know what?
What did they ever do to you?
Annoy the shit out of me for 2 hours.
Papoy?
I don't know how much you want to read into this, but Alan Schoolcraft, one of the two writers on Megamind, has a new writing gig, and apparently he's writing the script for the sequel to the first Minions movie.
Yeah,
so,
I saw that.
I don't even know how you write a script for the Minions movie. So
the same way you write a script
anyway.
to the Emoji movie.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Well, this one's just for Kyle. This little bit of trivia here.
Ooh.
Directors Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud wrote a language for the gibberish the minions speak throughout the film. They called it Minionese. Each word the minions speak in the film translates into an actual word. And there's not much for writing for Megamind.
That's so nerdy.
Yeah, it's pretty nerdy. All right, let's go ahead and vote, fellas. Let's start with Tom.
Megamind.
Kyle.
Megamind.
Gabe.
Yeah, Megamind.
Tosh.
Yep.
All right.
Same.
Okie dokie. Let's move on to our second round, which is acting. Thank you.
Acting is the great British art of make pretend.
Wow.
What? I'm practicing from
His
Acting
Minionese.
101, my book. I hate the Minions. I'm going to start with that and then moving into acting. All right, so hard, because we're relying purely on voice, and all of the facial features and posture movements all come from the animators themselves. I should say I like the animation quite a bit in both of these. I don't think either of them are your typical sort of Pixar fare. They look different and interesting in their own way. And I think the animation and things like that they did with the characters I thought were fine in both movies. But as far as acting goes, I enjoyed the performances in Megamind much better. And probably because I also liked the actors more. I am a big Will Ferrell fan. I love David Cross and Jonah Hill and Tina Fey all in that movie. And I thought they did an excellent job, getting across the emotion and playing with in their voices and their interplay and things like that, making it very fun and keeping it moving and keeping you invested. Steve Carell, I give him a lot of credit for staying in that weird accent the entire time and not like breaking or sounding weird. But it just didn't do the same thing for me. It wasn't as engaging. And the rest of the acting just kind of felt like it was there. Vector, like I said, annoyed the absolute shit out of me. I felt like Will Arnett was really kind of wasted playing the angry banker who for some reason won't stop crushing apples, which is such an asshole move. Like they tell you if you eat an apple, I don't watch a Cinema Sins. Nobody listens to Cinesmack. We know this.
Oh,
because I'm on it. So
Mom's mom does.
I ruined it. I ruined it all.
No, she stopped listening.
She didn't want.
I don't want to hear more about your pop filter, Tommy. I can't handle it.
Tommy, I'm just worried about it.
So I just thought the acting was more solid and more well delivered. It brought more to the movie in Megamind.
Yeah, I enjoyed the performances in both. Personally, I didn't really have too many problems with the acting performances. I think it would be really difficult to do that kind of thing. And I don't know. Do you guys know how they do that? I mean, do they get the actor in a room all by themselves and have them do their lines, or are they actually working with another actor that they're interacting with in that scene? Because I think it would be really difficult if you didn't have someone to play off of to get the right performance.
I know Pixar does it by themselves. They don't have a group.
Yeah, and then I think they probably just have them do that performance, perform those lines over and over so they get different versions that they can pick and choose from. But I give him a lot of credit. I think that would be fun to do. I think that would be a lot of fun to do the voices for an animated movie. But I also think it would be very difficult to get a performance when you don't have someone else there to work with on it. And I enjoyed the performances in both pretty well, actually. You can't go wrong with Will Ferrell. He's just funny all the time. And if you didn't necessarily know that it was Steve Carell, you might not have known that it was him doing that voice. And like Kyle said, he stayed in that voice, in that character consistently throughout. And again, that might be the benefit of doing a whole bunch of takes and being able to pick the best ones. But one of the things, speaking of Kyle's favorite, the Minions, one of the things I thought was really strange is that, do you guys know who Jermaine Clement is from?
Yes. Yep.
And maybe I'm stealing somebody's thunder, but I was surprised to find that he did a voice for one of the Minions. I'm like, well, what's the point of that? Because as far as I could tell, all the Minions sounded exactly the same. They didn't really have different voices, especially an interesting like his voice. He's where's he from?
Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah,
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah, he's got that New Zealand accent, and that certainly isn't going to come through in a Minion voice. So I thought that was kind of a weird thing. I don't know. But I think the performances throughout were pretty strong. I don't know.
Do you guys think Brad Pitt was good as?
I didn't know it was him at first. I'm like, who is that voice? Yeah, he didn't sound like his usual Brad Pitt to me. So maybe it was good. I don't know.
I thought he did it. I thought he was great, and I like how little they used him. I mean, you get Brad Pitt to sign on to a movie, and you use him for 2 scenes. I think it was great. If anything, I'm honest. I hate to say this, but if I was going to recast anybody in Megamind, it would probably be Will Ferrell, because he's in frickin' everything. So, I was watching with my kids, and I was like, hey, that's Lord Business, and it kind of blew their minds. So,
yeah.
Did you not like his performance?
Who, Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
He's in everything. I get
that he's in everything, but
it's just Ferrell fatigue.
Ferrell fatigue.
It's a nothing again. I mean, it was good. It was a really good performance, and it fit really, really well. But I mean, in the last 5-6 years since it's come out, he's just been everywhere, and it's just, like, hey guys, it's Lord Business and Buddy the Elf all in one. So, although now that my kids are getting old enough, they're like, you can just say Will Ferrell or Will Arnett, Dad. You don't need to tell us that it's Lord Business and Batman. We know there are people doing voices. So, to your point, Gabe, about the audio or recording voices, we actually did it yesterday. We recorded audio for an animated short we're doing, and we were at the recording studio, and I asked the 2 actors that were coming in, do you guys want to be able to look at each other through the glass as you're giving each other lines? And they said yes. And then I got done afterwards and asked them, was that distracting to be able to look at each other? Because they had just met like 5 minutes before we started recording. And they said it was a huge help to be able to look through the glass and make eye contact. And there was just a lot of nonverbal timing that they used that may or may not show up in the final product. But I think I got a more realistic performance out of them because they were able to actually see each other. So,
yeah, interesting. I've always wondered how studios do that. From the minimal things that I've seen, it's usually an actor in a room by themselves. With the recording, person, and then that's it. But I've always wondered how successful it is. They're called an engineer,
Gabe.
Engineer? The what?
They're called an engineer, Gabe.
An engineer. Okay, sorry. I was trying to think of what they call the board, the board operator or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I've always wondered, how they get good performances out of actors like that when they're basically by themselves. And I don't know, maybe that helps. Because then you don't feel any anxiety or intimidation from other actors. It's just you. You can just do what you want, and kind of go for it.
There's some great videos on YouTube. I know one for Futurama, I believe, where it shows all the actors in the same studio, and they're running lines off of each other.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Show like that. And I think it depends on the show, too. I mean,
oh, that's true.
A show like Futurama and The Simpsons is going to benefit from people ad-libbing and riffing, and you can't get that in separate situations. But a scripted movie, you're probably tighter under time. So I had them both in the studio yesterday because I'm cheap and I didn't want to rent the studio twice.
There you go. That also makes sense. There's those considerations too.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that Kyle mentioned briefly was, in a movie like this, we don't get to see their facial performances or their physical performances. And so the animators, to a certain degree, are instrumental in kind of this category as well, which is a little bit unusual, for what we do here. Is we wouldn't normally talk about anyone but the actors in this section, but the animators definitely need some credit here, and because I've seen some stuff related to Pixar movies and that kind of thing, and the animators, when they're doing the animations, they're acting this stuff out. I mean, they want to get these movements right and that kind of thing, and so they go and they act a lot of this stuff out. So I think we have to give the animators credit for both of these films. I think both are really, brilliantly animated. So, and that adds a lot to the actor's performance, I think. And I killed it.
Dead silence.
What about Russell Brand was Dr. Nefario? That one surprised me.
Yeah,
he was great.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, was surprising because I hate him usually.
Well, I mean, I was just going through the cast list, and it's pretty incredible when you think about it. Will Ferrell, Brad Pitt, Tina Fey, Jonah Hill, David Cross, Ben Stiller, Justin Theroux, Jessica Schlute, Tom McGrath, J.K. Simmons. Those are all people in Megamind. Then you go over to Despicable Me, Steve Carell, Jason Segel, Russell Brand, Julie Andrews, Will Arnett, Kristen Wiig, Miranda Cosgrove, Dana Gare, Lise Fisher, Pierre Coffin, Chris Renaud, Jamie Clement, Jack McBrayer, Danny McBride, Mindy Kaling. And, some of these people are just coming in like Tourist Mom or Fred McDade, and they just come in and throw a couple lines. And I think that would be fun, if you could just go in and throw a couple lines and say, hey, I'm in this animated movie,
Yeah.
Was Jeremy Renner in there anywhere?
He was
Jeremy Renner?
He was in both films.
Oh, because he could burn in hell, but so... Well, that's right. You know why he wasn't voice actor? Because he sucks. That's why he wasn't in those.
Man, here we go. Here comes
Ken Jeong
man.
is in it too.
Yeah,
is in Despicable Me. Yeah.
Yep. All right. You guys say all you want about acting.
I hate Minions.
All right. Mm-hmm. Both Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. were approached for the role of Megamind, but turned it down due to scheduling conflicts. Stiller, however, appears in the role as Bernard, the curator. And Despicable Me. Will Arnett gained weight for the role of Mr. Perkins because since he's playing a large, heavy-set man, he thought it would improve his voice work. That's dedication.
That sounds like a joke.
Right there.
That is dedication.
That sounds like a joke.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and vote. Tom.
I'm going to go with Megamind on this one as well.
Oh, boy. Kyle.
Megamind.
Gabe.
Wow. I like both. Can I split my vote? Can we do a half vote? I'm going to go... Halvesies. I'm going to go with Despicable Me in this one.
All right. And Tosh.
I'm going to go Despicable Me as well because... Jeremy Renner probably was going to be in Megamind, and that bothers
me. So, all right, let's move on to our third round, which is directing.
Okay, yeah, and with an animated picture, again, I don't know how directors approach that exactly. I suppose it's very similar to a live action film. And maybe Tom can enlighten us a little bit here too, because I'm not quite sure how you approach it. I mean, you do everything so separately. You do the visuals and the acting separately, but I imagine it requires a lot of upfront work as far as storyboarding and writing and all that kind of stuff too. So that would be very similar. I think both of these films are really competently directed. I don't really have any issues with either of them. I'm trying to think if there's anything that stood out directing wise for me. I think, like I said, I think both of them are pretty strong. Can you guys help me out here? I don't know. Give me some ideas.
I'm going to give Megamind a little bit more of a bonus because I thought the action scenes were they're just more dynamic. The camera has a lot more fun during the Megamind action scenes than it does during Despicable Me, where it just, I don't know, it almost kind of feels like it's, like the scene where Vector has got the shrink ray gun and they're chasing each other in the sky. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like as much fun as it should be. So I don't know. Does that make any sense?
No, it does. I enjoyed the whole when he's preparing. Megamind's preparing to have his battle. He's been preparing for it, and he's not showing up, and then he's playing with the cars in his big suit. I love that scene. That's so hilarious. Where he's he's moving that semi around, like he's playing with the cars. You remember that scene?
Yeah. He's bored.
Yeah, I always laugh really loud for some reason. I don't know why. It's just he's playing with the cars, but really they are cars. But
they're real cars. Yeah.
Yep. And the sequence where his head is made out of the robot things and explodes. I think that's really cool too.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about directing of these two movies, because you're working with animators and they can kind of craft, whatever vision you put out, and you basically have as many takes as your budget allows to get these people in the studio and give you what you want and what you need. It's really about putting that vision together and not necessarily what can you get from the actor's face and his voice, because you can fudge some of these. Like you can make the face do incredible things. You can make all these super suits and all these other things to influence like the action and everything that takes place in the movie. So it's really about finding that vision of like how you want this movie to feel and how you want it to look, and you have to put that together, the best you can to make it feel like one complete world, like a complete story with an arc. And I thought Megamind did that much better in this case. It had a much more clear and concise sort of story and arc and path, and I thought it was funnier. They took, you talk about getting almost like infinite takes with these people. You can choose your best line. You're not if you're not constrained by budgets or lighting or like what you're paying your grips and all that stuff. So it's really about getting the best performance you can and making it fit into this vision that you have for the movie. And I felt like Megamind just pulled that off better than they did in Despicable Me, which seemed like the acting was fine, but it just felt like a hodgepodge of set pieces and funny things, and mostly, these little minion scenes that a lot of people get kind of joy and fun out of. But if you're not into that, it's just kind of aggravating and takes away from you wanting to like follow the story.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the appropriate section to talk about this, and we can save it for later if we want to. But I also noticed in Despicable Me there were a number of references to other films, and I don't know if that's the director's input or if that's the writing or at what stage those things get introduced. But for instance, there's a definite reference to Singing in the Rain, where one of the girls, it's raining and she dances around a light post and jumps into a puddle and that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, that's Singing in the Rain. And there was another one later in the movie that stood out to me. It's not coming to me right now. But did you guys notice those things, those references to other movies in there?
Excuse me.
No? Nobody?
Nope.
I did not. No.
Oh, there was one other one near the end. I'll see if it'll come to me. I can't remember it right off the top of my head, but it was. I thought that was kind of fun. It was the kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, they're kind of paying homage to other movies that maybe influenced them and that kind of thing. And again, I don't know at what stage that shows up, if that's in the writing or if that's actually the director adding that in, like, okay, we'll have her do this, and then it'll be like, this other movie.
And a lot of that could come down to the animators. I always wonder when they put these little Easter eggs in there, if there's no dialogue, is it just an homage they're doing because they're a fan of that movie, and they kind of sneak it in or put it in there?
Right.
Is
and
it
how much leeway do they
wants?
get? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you imagine the end scene of Megamind where they have the boombox and dancing. After the dialogue's over, it's really just the director and the animators crafting that crazy dance scene. It's probably loosely written, but beat by beat, they have to craft that. They don't have a real robot in front of them and a choreographer and all that stuff. So I wonder how much of that comes down to the animators and their supervisors and things creating those moments rather than... I'm sure the director has some influence, but they have to physically do it. Like, they have to make that a reality. And they may have some constraints. They can't do some of the things. So I think directing something like this would be very difficult because you have to oversee all these different, departments. It's not just what you get on the camera. You have to make... A lot of this is made completely out of whole cloth. Like, you just have to create everything.
Yeah.
All right. Have you guys said enough about directing? Yes. All right.
Did I mention I'm not a fan of the Minions?
Not this category, I don't think.
No. Yeah, you started it off.
That's my one then.
Oh, yeah.
What if Jeremy Reiner was a Minion voice? That would be mind-blowing right now.
That's your nightmare tonight, Tosh.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Let's go ahead and vote. Tom.
Directing. Yeah, I'm going to have to. Yeah, Megamind's. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Kyle.
Yeah.
Megamind.
And Gabe.
Both. Again, I'm kind of split because I felt like they were both competently directed, but I'm going to also go with Megamind.
And Tosh.
Megamind.
All right. Let's see. Boy, it's really hard to find trivia for these things. Guillermo del Toro was a creative consultant on Megamind for 3 weeks before the film completed production. He majorly assisted in editing the film to make it more exciting. So you guys are kind of talking about the action sequences. Yeah,
I did see his name in the credits.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot. I'll just give you this. Steve Carell describes Gru's accent as a cross between Ricardo Montalban and Bela Lugosi, which I can kind of see both now that I read that. All right, fourth and final round overall.
I was reading some trivia here on Megamind. Did you know the premise, how this movie was pitched, was what if Lex Luthor defeated Superman?
I mean,
Nice.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It was also pitched as a live action film. Originally.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I can't picture that. I can't see that. Not with that kind of humor.
Been hard. Could have been hard.
Yeah, I think the animation helps personally in that respect, but I don't know. Yeah. Well, Metro Man definitely looks like Superman. I mean,
absolutely.
Definitely Superman. Now, Megamind doesn't necessarily. I guess he's bald, but he didn't otherwise evoke Lex Luthor necessarily to me.
He makes me think of Brainiac. If you're familiar with the Superman villain Brainiac,
Yep.
That's who he kind of reminds me of. But I think Brainiac kind of famously doesn't have a sense of humor, whereas like Megamind has a sense of kind of ironic humor.
I think one of the things is that one of the problems with Megamind is, unfortunately, I think Megamind's design. I think people see it on posters and stuff and are kind of turned off by it. Or it's like, what's this blue guy with the giant head? And I don't know. It just seemed a little too off-putting to me, I think. I remember when the posters first came out, and I wasn't really sure what the movie was about, or I don't know. That's just because apparently, obviously they get across that he's a villain that becomes a good guy, so he has to be endearing in some way. And you're just like, I don't know if I can get past the giant head and the blue skin. So
yeah, it is a very weird image. When I went to rent this, I thought, man, it looks like such a generic movie. It's just a blue guy's head in the middle of a yellow background. And it doesn't really tell you much about the movie. You'd have to have watched the trailers. Like it didn't really pull me in. Despicable Me had a little bit more going for it, I would say, from the visual side. And of course, now we've all been bombarded by Minions and Gru and all these things that kind of spun out of it. But yeah, Megamind just seemed like if you were searching through for an animated kids movie, like you might just flip right past it because there's nothing there like grabbing you from a promotional standpoint. I will tell you, though, I had a fun time watching Megamind because I rented Despicable Me first. And then when I rented Megamind, it started. And as he's falling from the sky, I realize he's speaking Spanish. And he keeps speaking Spanish as he's falling. And I thought, is this some kind of Will Ferrell gag? Because I know he did that Casa de Mi Padre movie where he speaks Spanish the entire time.
Right.
And I thought, is this some weird, am I going to get, taken by Will Ferrell here? Then about 5 minutes in the movie, I was like, okay, no, this movie is definitely just all in Spanish. So for some reason, when I rented it, it defaulted to being in Spanish. I'm glad I didn't finish it.
I was trying to think, what did I miss? I don't remember him speaking in Spanish.
I'm glad I Googled how to change it on my Apple TV because I don't think I could have given it an honest review if I watched the whole thing in Spanish.
I think it would have been awesome if you would have.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'd have been like, you guys were really funny picking this. One movie is completely in Spanish, guys.
Yeah,
and then
I assume
I would have looked
subtitled
crazy. No, it wasn't subtitled at all. But he fell, and I thought maybe maybe he's been hit with some weird ray that turns him Spanish, or it's some gag, or it's an actor or something. But then 5 minutes later, I was like, no, it's just all in Spanish.
I don't think you can just turn Spanish. I don't think that works that way, but maybe I'm wrong.
They had a dehydration ray. You don't think there's a make someone Spanish ray?
No.
But
you could call it El Rey.
Jesus.
Or the Rey. Pretty good.
I'll allow it.
Is that?
Oh my god!
Dear Lord.
Wow,
That is fantastic.
Okay, we can end now.
Who'd you apologize to last podcast? You apologized to some group last podcast. You also get our Spanish listeners apology as well.
No, absolutely not. That was
that should be a new segment at the end. Cal apologizes to the podcast groups.
Okay, can everybody hear me now? Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. And now we'll get to Kyle's apologies.
I do this podcast on my Xbox. My controller died, and so that was awesome. I believe what you're talking about is women. I believe I insulted all women. So now I am moving to diverse ethnic groups.
Yes. You've insulted women, now Spanish-speaking people.
Yes. I believe there are a couple of British movies in our future.
Not many left to insult.
I think Canadians. I think we did. Didn't you apologize to Canadians for something too? Didn't I?
You know what?
We did that.
It's a country. I've actually been to Canada and Mexico, and I'll go ahead and apologize to the Canadians. Sure.
Oh man.
I actually loved Mexico. It was wonderful.
Well, not the first time, right?
Well, the first time when you go to a Mexican hospital with bronchitis, it's not great.
Yeah.
It doesn't make your trip great.
Oh, no.
When they tell you they need your credit card or you can't be seen by a doctor, it's not great.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we have to charge you $900 more. Okay. We want you to stay overnight. It'll be $1,000 more. No thanks.
Seriously?
Yeah. It costs $975 to be seen down there, like American dollars. And I got some breathing treatments and stuff like that. And then he gave me like 4 or 5 prescriptions. And because we were on a resort, we had to hire a taxi to drive to the nearest town, pick up my prescriptions, and then taxi them back. That cost $100. Wow. Then when I got back to the United States, my doctor, Dr. Vasquez, see, I'm not against Spanish people. He's my doctor. I took what they gave me in there, and he goes, "Oh, this is really good stuff. It's illegal in America. You can't get it here because they don't allow us to make it. But it's really good." And then this is just like some weird. This is like cactus juice. It's not really anything. I was like, awesome, awesome. So take it for a ride by the Mexican healthcare system.
Wow.
I'm sorry. What's going on?
Yeah.
I went on a vacation to Mexico a couple years ago, and I got.
No, I heard the whole story.
Sure.
I heard it seems like your recommendation for this episode is illicit Mexican drugs.
Oh no! It was an inhaler. It wasn't like peyote or anything like that.
Hey, tomato, whatever. It's cool. Whatever you want to call it.
It's true.
It's
I
an
did
inhaler.
see my spirit animal,
Tommy,
and my
Tommy,
spirit animal.
Tommy, I sent away to Mexico. I got you these pills
to make your pop filter strong again.
All right, you guys want to add anything else to overall? I mean, I
Really
enjoyed both these movies. I have to say, I like them both for different reasons. I really like the art direction in Despicable Me. For some reason, the pointy, weird looking. I really like that. I liked Megamind's. It was kind of a throwback, and I know we've already talked about the whole Superman. That it's very much like a Superman film. I really did like some of the art. A lot of it was geared towards the old animated Superman films. I don't know if you guys have seen, well, not films, but shorts. Those were actually really well done. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about it. And
I would like to talk. Go ahead.
I liked Will Ferrell's Marlon Brando. That was pretty fun and really made me feel that Superman connection.
Yeah.
Yep, that was good.
I liked the. I'll talk real quick about the music because they both went two very different ways about the music. So, Megamind, pulled from a catalog of really great songs. Like, I'm not even sure how you do a second Megamind movie because they just went ahead and were like, fuck it, we'll just use all of the great bad songs that are out there. As a Guns N' Roses fan, I thought his entrance to Welcome to the Jungle and the line about presentation was freaking spot on.
Yeah.
Whereas Despicable Me went with Pharrell Williams, and as much as I don't like Despicable Me 2, I think the music that he makes in the second movie is better, even though it's freaking everywhere. So I think it was kind of a weird choice, to bring somebody in and have them create a handful of songs by one artist for the entire movie. So, but I think it worked better in Despicable Me 2, but I prefer the classic rock stuff that they used in Megamind.
Yeah, that was definitely fun. I was going to mention the music too because it is interesting how they approached it, and I think both succeeded in some way or another with the music that way too.
All right. Well, despite a worldwide gross in excess of $320 million, Megamind is actually one of DreamWorks Animation's lowest grossing films.
Wow. I think that it was marketed wrong.
I totally agree. I think that's always been somewhat of DreamWorks' problems with their animated stuff. Originally in Despicable Me, the minions were supposed to be more like henchmen, human-like, but the studio didn't have the money for that. That's why they're all short, Kyle.
What? You could have made really weird short humans. Don't give me that bullshit. It's like $1 billion company.
Jeremy Renner is pretty short. Just think about that.
Can someone make a shot-for-shot remake of this movie with all of Jeremy Renner for Tosh so we can just let this go?
Yes.
Great.
Let's go ahead and vote. Tom.
Overall,
yes.
Well, Megamind, obviously.
All right. I know how this is going. Kyle?
Megamind.
Gabe?
Again, I'm split. I'm split pretty much 50-50. I'm gonna give Despicable Me a little bit of love.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
Tosh.
You traitor.
Traitor. Boo. Megamind for me.
All right. Okay. Real quick, we'll move on to our recommendations. So I'll start it off so I can do this incredibly difficult math in front of me. I actually told the guys before we started to record that I was going to suggest the best Fantastic Four movie made, and I am still sticking by that. I am going to recommend, which someone probably already has, but The Incredibles. A family of undercover superheroes will try and... everyone's seen this. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you? It is a great film, and it is the best Fantastic Four movie. I think Brad Bird. We can go on about Brad Bird. We've talked a few times about him. Craig T. Nelson, Samuel Jackson, Holly Hunter, Jason Lee. Yeah, you got quite a good cast in there. The animation's incredible. The story is incredible. So check out The Incredibles. And really quick, I feel bad. I gave Tom a hard time about recommending books. So I'm going to recommend one since we are talking about a DreamWorks movie tonight. I wanted to really quick tell you guys and tell the listeners about a book that I actually listened to a couple years ago. It's called The Men Who Would Be King, an almost epic tale of moguls, movies, and a company called DreamWorks. And it is the story about Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen. And the whole driving force behind DreamWorks, I would have to say, is Jeffrey Katzenberg, because he wanted to take on Disney. And that's the reason we get films like Megamind, and what else has DreamWorks done? Shrek, and they had a lot fall on their face. Ants, right? Wasn't Ants DreamWorks? And not Prince of Persia. What's the Moses one? But anyway, it goes pretty in depth on how they built DreamWorks. And you hear about all these things they had planned and never really got to do. So check out The Men Who Would Be King. Tom.
Yes. How are you? How are you? Okay, so animated movie recommendation. So I was trying. This is a movie I actually recommended back on our first year of being on the air. That doesn't sound right. From our first season of Cinesmack, I recommended the movie Iron Giant, which...
Son of a bitch.
I'm surprised I didn't take anyone's with The Incredibles.
You did. That's why I took Iron Giant. So I'm going with Iron Giant, which is also a Brad Bird movie. The guy knows how to do it. So I think it's done in a very classic 1950s animation style. The story is very compelling. It's got a really great story and some wonderful characters in it. Blah, blah, blah. If you want to learn more about my opinion of it, go back to first season of Cinesmack. I'm sure I said some nice things about that movie. And it was just at the movie theater on Tuesday morning at 10:30 for $1. You could go see Iron Giant at our local movie theater. So with that too, if you want to go see Tuesday at 10:30, if you aren't working, you can go check out movies at Cinemark every Tuesday for $1. They got classic animated movies in the mornings for $1. It's pretty sweet. Ooh. So I would also recommend go see some movies. Ditch work, and I think this week is shit. I don't know. Iron Giant was last week, so I don't. This week, I don't know what's coming up next week. They already did Trolls, so you don't have to worry about running in that piece of shit.
All right, Kyle.
Okay, I don't know how to follow that. Well, I didn't come with an animated movie. I came with a movie about the war on drugs in Mexico. So,
wow.
Why can't it be both?
I can't. Oh, this has been a hard movie to animate. It's a movie called Sicario, and it has Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt, and some other people. Josh Brolin is in it, who's going to be Thanos coming up in all of our favorite nerd movies. And man, it was a harrowing look at sort of that life they live in Juarez and what happens on the other side of the border and how the government gets involved in that and how it kind of crosses into American lives. And I've really become an Emily Blunt fan since watching Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I was interested to check it out. I thought it was a really well-done movie. It's super interesting. Benicio del Toro, as usual, has a very interesting performance, very thought-provoking, and kind of captivating, which I really enjoyed. So I would recommend that if you're into those sort of geopolitical thrillers with lots of questions about torture and who's responsible for what and what borders really mean, etc.
That's a good pick, man. That's a great movie.
Thanks. Yeah, I dug it a lot.
All right. Gabe.
Well, I'm also not going to go with the children's animated film. It's actually fairly violent, and I would not recommend children watch it. But it is. A pretty
I'm
cool
giving you
film.
guys an F for your homework.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
I tried. But, I don't have any kids, so I'm not forced to watch a lot of animated movies.
I just got a kid. I still watch animated stuff.
Well, now you have an excuse. I just don't have any excuses. I'm going to recommend Logan. It's obviously the latest installment in the Wolverine series, and the last one with our good friend Hugh. And it, I liked it because it was a grittier, more realistic, if you can say that, approach to a superhero movie. And I've always been kind of attracted to superhero movies like that are a little grittier, even Deadpool. I thought Deadpool was awesome because he was an adult. He could swear and he could do like terrible things to the bad guys, and it's the kind of thing that I enjoy. And I thought Logan was very enjoyable in that respect. It's shockingly violent though. Even I was going, oh my God, oh dear Lord, like limbs are flying off and his claws are going through people's faces, but at the same time, it's kind of the thing that you've always wanted Wolverine to be able to do. You feel like that's what he would do, especially in the state that he's in. He's so.
Which state? Montana?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He's in like Nevada or something, isn't he? I don't know. Anyway, but in this movie, the state that he's in, he's kind of he knows he's nearing the end, and he's angry and he's depressed and he's strangely human for a mutant, and it's something that you identify with, and it's really, I think it makes a much more powerful superhero movie than a lot of the stuff that we see. It's all very sterile and safe and clean and glossy and happy in a lot of the superhero movies we see, and this is definitely not that. And so I would definitely recommend it. It's not perfect. It has some issues in my mind, but I did enjoy it, and I thought it was a good end to his run as Wolverine.
All right, you hear that, parents? Show your kids Logan; they'll love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Sicario. Don't forget Sicario. That's a great kids.
Sicario.
Yeah, that's a great kids movie. Yeah.
Double feature. Sit the kids down. Let's traumatize them early.
Hey, just remind those kids that could be living in Mexico and bad things could happen to them.
Yeah, like cactus water. And Tosh, what's your recommendation?
I'm going to do a stop motion animation film, Coraline. Coraline's about this, her and her parents, and she's like younger girl, probably in her teenager time, and she moves to her parents' this weird house, and then she gets frustrated with her parents, and she finds these step parents that are like kind of like Stepford parents, and they have eyes made out of buttons, and it is a scary movie, but I love it. It's for kids, but it's scary, but it's really good. I'd say check it out. Coraline, 2009.
All right. Well, at least
Tom, have you seen that?
Coraline?
Yeah.
Yes, I have not shown it to my kids yet because it will completely freak them out and they'll wet the bed. But yeah, it's one of
my daughter's favorite movies, and she's 10. So, but yeah, it's good.
It's pretty freaky.
Very freaky.
What was that movie? What was that like stop motion type film that came out that was sort of similar to that? What was it called? 9 or something like that? Like the number 9?
Yeah, Nine's really different. Nine's way more arty than that. So another one we watched was Frankenweenie was actually a really cool send up to classic Universal monster movies. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of just little movie homages throughout, and it's just a blast to watch.
All right. Well, let's find out who won. Gonna poke the monkey.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is Megamind!
I think it's interesting that we chose Megamind overall, but the box office, the general public didn't seem to.
Well, you assholes are all film snobs, so what can I say?
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
All you normal people out there don't know anything, okay? That's what we're trying to say.
You're smart. The masses are dumb.
Hey, what would happen if it had been the other way around? If we were on our 5th Megamind movie, and there was one movie that was nothing but David Cross running around and talking gibberish, and
I'd probably still watch that. I really like David Cross.
Yeah, David Cross. He's got a filthy mouth, but he's hilarious.
Yeah, it's always funny when they cast comedians that are very blue in children's animated films. I always love that. I do think it's funny. I'm not being a smartass. I do think it's funny. All right, let's let people know where maybe they can send you hate mail, from Mexico or Canada or on behalf of all women.
Oh, that means I have to start, right?
Yeah, Kyle.
God, first of all, once again, my hatred for the people of the world is merely part of my act. I am a sad clown with nothing else to latch onto than to make these jerks yuck. Anyways, you can try to find me online, but why? Who cares?
It's Eeyore.
Jesus.
Oh, bother.
We are all heading towards the eventual heat death of the universe. Enjoy your friends while you can.
Oh, bother. Thanks, Kyle.
No problem.
Dear Lord.
Tom.
Okay, people can generally find me terrorizing the city with my 4 minions. Raising hell, dropping mics. I would say, hey, oh, by the way, Megamind is one of the 10 a.m. movies on Tuesday, on July 25th, if you want to check it out. So, people can find me on, Wedding Day Rewind. We got stuff on there, Cheshire Moon Films. And then we're launching a new website and YouTube channel called Swing Jumper, and it's going to be all kids programming. So, that should be coming up here in the next couple months.
Very cool. You're going to show like Cicero and Coraline.
It's Sicario and Coraline.
Yeah, same thing.
Cicero. You mean Caligula?
Caligula. There we go.
Caligula. We have an animated version of Schindler's List, which I think the kids are really going to get into. Yeah.
Is it black and white?
No, why would I do that? So yeah, it's going to be beautiful. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's good news, Tom.
Yeah, pretty excited. It'll be fun.
Gabe.
You can look me up on Facebook if you care to. And you can also check out onegenomeshort.com and check out some of our 48-hour films.
Yeah, website. That'd be nice. Tosh.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on the dark web, stalking you at all times. No. You can find me on Twitter. Just search Tosh Dillinger. There's only one of me in the world, and there's no other Tosh Dillingers I've checked. So just look for Tosh Dillinger.
He's killed them all.
There can only be one.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right.
That's why he's so tall. It's all that power he has. He has the quickening.
Or it's not albino skin. Either way.
You can follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Just search Mike Keeler if you want to. I'm like Kyle, who cares, right? Actually, you can follow Southside Studios on YouTube. You can find us at SouthsiderStudios.com, which has been under construction now for about 5 years because I never seem to find the time for it. But as far as this particular, as Tom's mother would say, radio show, We would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. And real quick, I almost forgot. A new music video was released that I was the director of photography on. You can search YouTube. Will Keeps. It's called Droppin'. And we're pretty proud of it, those of us that were able to work on it. So if you can check it out, maybe give it a thumbs up, that'd be great. For August, pull up your beanbag chair, crank up the volume, and grab your wacky weed as we throw The Who's Tommy in the ring with Pink Floyd's The Wall. For Tom, Kyle, Gabe, Tosh, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah, I stabbed a man in the heart.
I saw that. Brick killed a guy. Did you throw a trident?
Yeah, there were horses and a man on fire, and I killed a guy with a trident.
Brick, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You should find yourself a safe house or a relative close by. Lay low for a while, because you're probably wanted for murder.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.